In your field, what are you seeing? Maybe you can give quick update on what you're seeing um, in trends and the kind of questions you're getting, and then also an update on you mentioned House Bill 4647, the moratorium. If you could give an update on what that is and what the status is.
Sure, and I'm glad to hear that there's resources out there for tenants, to address rental issues, because obviously that's the main problem right now with a lot of landlords out there. The rent isn't being able to be paid. COVID obviously is causing tenants to be either furloughed. Everybody is suffering financially from this, but it's HAC is an excellent resource for tenants, and again, it's comforting for landlords to know that they can even turn to you for possible help with getting the rent arrears paid. So the big thing that I'm getting right now is a lot of issues from landlords, a lot of questions, a lot of frustration due to the current eviction moratorium law. And I guess the number one question is, when is it going to end? How long is this going to go on? When can I get my property back? When can I ask my tenant to leave? What do I do if I'm owed rent? Can I legally ask for rent to come in right now? So those are really the hot topic issues that I'm getting almost on a daily basis. And again, the big one is, when is it going to end? And on its face, the bill is supposed to end on August 18th, 2020. The governor is going to have the ability to push that back potentially if cases start spiking at the end of the summer, and hopefully that they won't. The moratorium law will end on the 18th, but again, we'll have to see how it goes. That date may get moved, and there's other bills now currently potentially moving through the Senate that are going to address, what happens when this bill ends, and you're going to have just a mad rush of landlords with their notices to quit and notices of termination. So those, that's the number one issue, David, is when does this thing end? And then landlords obviously ask, okay, well, what can I do now? And unfortunately, the law is pretty landlord under this new moratorium law. They can't issue, or she can't issue, any notices to quit for non-payment. Pretty much all non-payment cases are stayed. If a landlord, it's illegal for a landlord to issue a notice to quit for non-payment. I think the best the landlord can do right now is to send a letter out to the tenant asking for communication and dialogue as to how payment is going to be made. Landlords, I'm telling landlords, you just got to do the best you can to work with tenants on a month-to-month basis and see what you can get and see if both parties can ride it out. The other issue I'm seeing, the law prohibits also any notices to quit for month-to-month tenancies. You simply can't ask any tenant to vacate right now if it relates to non-payment issues, or if it relates to any other potential breach of the lease. But there is an exception, and this is probably the biggest flood of calls I've gotten is the quote-unquote essential eviction. The law prevents landlords to move forward with what's called an essential eviction. And that's when the tenant is either doing something illegal or criminal, or is somehow engaging in behavior that's threatening the health and safety of other people on the property or emergency health personnel. Those cases may proceed forward normally. So notices to quit can go, it could be issued. I can talk a little bit more about that process later.
Sure.
But those essential evictions are they're kind of fact specific, and depending on how egregious the behavior, I'll advise the landlord to go ahead and I'll help you issue a notice to quit. And if they don't vacate, the courts then review whether or not the case constitutes an essential eviction and whether the case can move forward. A lot of landlords right now are just extremely frustrated because they're looking to obviously receive their property back, and they're not being paid, and the landlord has mortgage payments and property taxes and insurance and utility bills and water bills to pay. So it's a tough time for everybody, for sure, right now. And it's my job to kind of help mostly landlords, because I do a lot of landlord work, help guide them safely through this process and make sure they're not falling into any pitfalls during the moratorium law. And if they do have cause to move forward with those essential evictions, I get involved with that process too.
Okay. I want to take that. There's a lot of great information there, and I want to unpack it a little bit.
Sure.
Kind of going back to the moratorium on evictions for non-payment. So it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is although there's a moratorium, once it's lifted, whether that be on August 18th or if it ends up being a little later,
Yeah.
All that rent becomes due, correct?
That's correct. The law does not forgive rental payments.
So we have,
The law,
yeah, I was going to say so that creates a problem where, although it does, create, a safety net right now for tenants, if there's a
Right.
situation where a tenant has been unemployed or has some other COVID-related issue that's preventing them from pay, it has the potential to really build up and create a problem for both the tenant and the landlord.